Hello, my darlings. Madam Raven here, in a new little corner to record on my own little pallid bust of Pallas. I hope it sounds better. Today I'm sharing a story by Dopa Bean. It's the first in a series, and it's entitled, My Favorite Actor Doesn't Exist Anymore. Alexandre Levar is my favorite actor. You don't know who he is now, but a week ago you did. I hope someone here remembers him too. I'll try and jog memories. Alexandre Levar was a Hollywood fairy tale. After securing supporting roles in a handful of blockbusters, he moved on to his own TV series. It was called Strayaways, and it ran from 1996 through 2001. Strayaways was a cultural juggernaut, single-handedly catapulting TV from the film industry's cheap, derivative sibling to its creative and financial equal. In terms of production value and genre appeal, it was a sci-fi Game of Thrones. No one expected it to be the biggest thing in the world, but it was, until Alexandre eclipsed it. Alexandre himself developed an overwhelmingly huge and obsessive cult following. Think of supernatural fandom, but turn it up to 11, or rather 111. It was frightening. So frightening that the media dubbed it the most extensive mass obsession since Helen of Troy. The obsessive people, both men and women, by the way, often did crazy things. In fact, the things they did were crazy enough and frequent enough that at one point the situation got its own 2020 special. Alexandre's psycho following was, however, something of a splintered fandom. Is that even the right word? Some people just thought he was unbelievably good looking. I myself never shared that statement. He was pretty, but not spectacularly so. Some people thought he was a CIA asset, connected to the Oklahoma City bombings and Project Bluebird. Some people thought he was half alien, others a dark magician. A few thought he was a vampire. Still others, the Messiah. One popular theory was that he was a seed god, a divine, powerful, yet clueless entity that needed guidance to ascend and lead mankind into a new era. Hopefully you get and remember the picture. There was no rhyme or reason to these people. The only thing they all had in common was the sheer insanity on a scale no one's ever seen. That more than his considerable talent is what made him a superstar. The non-obsessive took the cynical view that it was a PR move gone wrong. In any case, despite the would-be cult following, Andre married a model and quickly had a child. The fans didn't like it, but fans never do. And what did it matter? He was on top of the world. Beautiful, sane wife, adorable daughter, and he himself was one of the most famous TV stars in the world. This is where the fairy tale turns to horror. In the most notorious Hollywood murder since the Manson family, a band of Alexandre's fans broke into his house while he was away on a film shoot. They tortured his wife and infant, then killed them. The crime and trial dominated news cycles for years. Everyone knew Alexandre's face, and due to an unscrupulous leaker, everyone saw the crime scene photos too. The media suspected everyone to the murderer's nonsense claims of trans-dimensional entity worship and reality rifts. The culprits on record justified for the double murder was that they needed to make a human sacrifice to escape the current timeline and catapult themselves into another one more suited to their desires and fantasies, one where they apparently all function as Alexandre's harem while he prepared to rule the universe. After giving a victim impact statement at the sentencing, Alexandre Lavar disappeared. It was the last anyone ever heard of him. So does any of this ring a bell? I only know he doesn't exist because I'm a moderator of a fan site. Even 12 years later, his fan following is crazy strong, and moderating takes a couple hours a day. You would not believe the amount of Photoshop, self-inserted nudes I have to deal with on a daily basis. Or maybe you would. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So I logged in this morning to perform my mod duties, or would have if the website existed. It didn't. Doesn't? I don't know. The crazy thing is my computer has the website bookmarked as a favorite. If I start typing in the address, it autofills it like it exists. But it doesn't. Apparently, it never did. And neither has Alexandre Lavar. I've been scouring the internet for days. Nothing, nada, no Google, no IMD, no management site, no personal site, no fan pages, not even a mention. Absolutely nothing. Now, changing the subject here, but trust me, I'm a train buff. I know it's stupid, basically a baby pastime, but trains suck their hooks, smokestacks, into me around the age of 3 and just never let go. In fact, before illness cut my career into pieces, I worked for Amtrak. Not exactly the Union Pacific Railroad, but all things considered, it was pretty close to perfect. Until the aforementioned sickness half killed me and forced me to quit. After that, I had a lot of free time on my hands. Too much. From trains, I expended into sailing, then into, of all things, astronomy. I dream away the painful days and insomniac nights by pretending I was in a boat in the middle of the Arctic Sea, charting a course to the edge of the world using the cold, brilliant stars. Between my illness and the fact that most people my age can't be bothered with steam engines and sailboats, I turned to the internet. Over time, I drifted from the popular places to old school sites, the kind that haven't been revamped since the 90s, yet hold a massive wealth of information you'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere else. While I was the youngest poster by far, most of the people were kind to me, and I made a fair number of friends. The user I bonded with most was a middle-aged outdoorsman who went by Ray. We clicked so fast that we were charting train routes and sailing trips together within a month. We got as close as a couple of internet posters can get. There was nothing inappropriate. Talking to Ray felt safe and fulfilling, the way I imagined a proper parent-child relationship was supposed to go. I know this is unhealthy and unrealistic, but I was sick and home alone most of the time. It meant a lot to me. Even a virtual parent is better than no parent. There was just one weird thing. We only communicated over these old sites. No emails, no social media, no Skype, no phone calls. It should have set off alarm bells, but I was so lonely and we clicked so well. I refused to even think about it. Besides, it wasn't like anyone could read our conversations. The site let members set up private, password-protected chat boards, which we did, just for the two of us. It was as good as being on the phone. Better, honestly. I sound like a high-pitched, anxious dimwit when I talk. Writing is much easier for me, much more natural than speaking. Still, I couldn't help myself, and I brought it up once, after we'd been talking at least a couple of hours a day for over a year. He said he couldn't do it. spouted some about being in Middle America Bermuda Triangle that muffs up signals. Makes Wi-Fi impossible, hun. And my computer's old as hell anyway. Besides, I'm ugly. No one needs to see that. I figured he either didn't quite know how to Skype or just preferred his privacy. Either way, it wasn't my business, and I come to rely on his friendship, so I never said another word about it. Now, Ray and I have been virtual route planning, star navigating, train-loving wannabe sailors together for over 4 years. As sad as it is, the man is probably my best friend and primary confidant. We have written each other every single day for years. I haven't heard from him in 3 days. Now that itself maybe isn't unusual or even problematic, aside from ramping up my abandonment issues. But there's one more thing. I can't find any record of him on our chats. We talked hundreds of thousands of words. Archives, digital backups in order to preserve our imaginary train itineraries. And of course our chat boards. None of them exist anymore. And there's one last thing. I got a notification this morning. An incoming call on Skype. The caller's ID was just a string of distorted gibberish. I've been the victim of mass spamming before. It's usually creepy like this and obscene besides, so I ignored it and blocked the caller. Blocking didn't work. They called again. And they started IMing. Sasha, it's Ray. I need to talk to you. Don't pick up. Answer, please. Don't pick up. Don't pick up. Turn it off now. It'll go away if you do. Answer me. You miss me. I know you do. I was fighting to hold back panic. Maybe an overreaction, especially when I've been trolled before, but I've had an unsettling couple of days, and this was pretty much icing on the cake. I'll be honest. I was scared to pick up the call, but not too scared to write. Where did you go? I typed. For a very long moment, I watched eclipses dance in their little bubble. Then, answer and have a look. Don't! All right, dear. Have a peek. He sent a photo, though. It was darkly colorful, one I had a very hard time making out. When it resolved, I tried to scream, but all that issued was wheezy little whine. It was part of a face, half filling the frame. A strange rictus of a smile split it way up its jagged cheek, barring a spiral of long, thin teeth that wound its way down a striped gullet. A small round eye glinted dimly from the top of the frame. It was drably luminescent gray, alien in a way I can't describe. Behind it was a blurry space, filled with the indistinct shapes lit by the dim light source I couldn't identify. I saved the picture to my computer, then I slammed the lid shut and went for a walk, rainstorm and all. A few possibilities whirled through my head. Police, sure, but what was I going to tell them? My friend who stopped communicating with me, a friend I've never met in person, a friend whose full name I don't know, trolled me a little before sending a scary picture. Also, I'm double scared because I hero worship an actor who never existed. Can you help me? See, there's no going to the cops with this. Then I thought of the fan site. My computer remembers the site. So what if I had access to the mailing list somewhere? That wouldn't help me with Ray, but it could help alleviate the truly existential crisis I'd been facing for a week. Buoyed by the thought, I went back home and scoured the computer for mailing list. I found it in a temp folder and sent out a mass email. Most returned as no sender, but it looks like a few hundred went through. We'll see. I also have another problem. My Skype shows that I received and blocked incoming calls from unknown user. I've encountered the presence unknown bug before, but I didn't even know Skype could do unknown users. In any case, unknown user is definitely not the name that popped on the calls and the messages. Second, the IMs are gone. Third, that damn picture is gone too. No record whatsoever, either on Skype or on my computer. Even that last record of Ray is gone. However, I have one thin ray of hope. One of the people I emailed responded with, "This is a stupid joke." Then about 10 minutes later, "Oh my gosh, is this real?" I emailed her. Her name is Polly Sands. So far, she's the only other person who remembers Alexandre Levar. Are there any more? So quoth this raven.